Is your hands up? He can't see either, we're both blind and deaf. Again, I want to thank my both interpreters. I couldn't be doing what I do today if it wasn't for the interpreters. I can't see interviews, so that makes it a lot easier. I'm not so nervous. One of the greatest things I've learned growing up, being deaf with 9 brothers and sisters, is that I had a wonderful parent that treated me just like the others. I always try to use my deafness to get out of mowing the yard or clean out the tub, and somehow it never works. My dad said, as long as you're my son, you do as we others do. But it's been wonderful growing up because it's been very confusing when I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to communicate. People are always looking at me and I'm looking, what? Forget it, it's not important. So I didn't know what to do, so I started to learn to read lips. And that was one communication. And then as I got older, I started to learn sign English. And I can sign and talk all I want. That's cool. And then if I want to talk and have none of y'all understand me, I can switch over to another communication and say, isn't that awesome? I have 3 languages. And then I can be like you. What's up? What's happening? You know, how's everything going? There we go. 4. And so many people always felt sorry for me when I was growing up. Like, people would say, I hear Kenny's deaf. And I could never figure that one out. And a lot of times when I meet people growing up, they'll say, you don't look deaf. And I've got a bounty for $10,000 if somebody can show me what a deaf looks like. Meet me in the lobby afterwards. And then some people come up when they tell somebody, Kenny is deaf, he's coming over. And I always try to tell people, don't let people know that I'm deaf, because I want them to know me, not my deafness. They go, I have to tell my mom and dad, there has to be a warning sign so they know that you're not being a snob. I think they're going to figure it out themselves. Well, one day I went over to a friend's house and I asked him, did you tell your mom I was deaf? You know, miss. Yeah, I know. So I got to the house, knocked on the door. He was coming from the car, and the mother opened the door, and just like usual, how are you? I turned to my friend and said, you did not tell me your mother had a speech impediment. You know, one of the greatest things about being deaf too is that when I go to people's houses and they always got a last piece of pie, who do you think gets it? The poor little deaf boy. Just have the last pie. But mother, I love lemon pie. You give it to that deaf boy. And I'm going to go, I hate you, and I'm going, I told you not to tell. So that's been amazing, all this thing I go through. Then when I go into public, for example, I went to the airport one time. It even happened today. I got to the airline, and I had to let them know that I couldn't hear it just in case the plane, you know, and I'm out the door for an emergency. The plane crashed, and I'm looking out the window. And I'm at the door where they're supposed to open it up, they're waving at me, boom, boom. It's too late, but. So actually, it's not so bad. But I love it because when I go places, for example, when I went to a restaurant one time, I went out and ordered late. And so when I was in line, they said there wasn't many tables left. Then I walked up to the manager. I can't hear, and I'm really hungry, and I like that table in the corner. And the manager, come on. I got my table. I don't use it all the time, just when I want what I want. So I don't want people feeling sorry for people that are deaf or hard of hearing, people in wheelchairs, people that are blind. You know, imagine me now when people say, I want you to describe Kenny. All I want you to say, he's short and he's fat and wear glasses and he's bald. Because you're going to see that automatically when I walk up. So it really fascinates people sometimes when they hear that I'm deaf, and I don't really want people to know me as a deaf person. Because that's what leads me to what I love about being here in St. Louis. This week has been, y'all should be proud of your city. I went to many deaf, well, mainstream schools, what we call it, when you have deaf and hearing mainstream. But I found out when I was here that the majority of the deaf here are so different, yet they celebrate their education together. I met students that had cochlear implants. I met students that just talk and they don't sign, but they're deaf, like me. Then I met those who just sign and don't talk. Isn't that cool? And they all come together in this great city of St. Louis to be educated. And I found out also the last school I went to the other day was fascinating because it was the first school I ever had to go to, preschool, okay? Pre-kindergarten school. You know the little bodies and the big heads? And they don't sit still? You know, they like to... You know? Well, it was amazing. When I got finished, I wasn't sure if I did okay. The greatest gift I've ever received from a human being, especially a child with a big head, small body. Two little kids, a boy and a girl, came running up. One came to this leg and he hugged it. And the other one comes over here and hugged this one. And this one in the middle had that little thing, look. And she went around and she kissed me on the leg. And I thought, what are you doing? She looked up and she signed, I love you. That, no money can ever take that away from a storyteller. And that's what the beauty is of performance. And that's what's going to lead me to the story I want to share with you now. It's a true story. And it happened 50 years ago. A little boy was born in Dallas, Texas. And when he was born, his mother actually had him when he was premature, 7 months. And when he was born, he had a lot of illness. He was born with brain damage. And the left side of his body had paralysis. He didn't have much feeling. He couldn't cry in his eye, but he does in this. And then when he grew up, the doctor said to the parents, put him away. Put him in an institution. You have 6 beautiful children. This one would never amount to anything because he's retarded. So this is the story of a boy who was labeled deaf and mentally retarded. And he grew up to become a master storyteller. And I want to tell you about the boy. When he grew up, in elementary, they drew pictures with crayon on it. And the teacher set him in the back of the room because they said that's all the retarded boy could do. Would sit in the back with a piece of paper and a magical crayon. And they said draw pictures while the other kids learned A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the president, the capital, and learn how to write your name. That retarded boy had it made. He sat in the back and he drew. He never knew why he was called retarded, but he couldn't understand words. And then one day, a man came in. He called himself a psychiatrist, and he looked. What's that? He looked up and he said, it's a butterfly. Beautiful, creative. Gave me a C. And then the boy looked up and went, C! Now he's going to get challenged. Be more creative. So he did a bigger butterfly. And he put a woman on the back of it. The psychiatrist came and said, beautiful butterfly. Is that a woman on the butterfly? Yes. Who's the woman? My mother. Why your mother? So she can watch you to give me an A+ now. Oh, creative. And the boy realized he got an A+, just for telling a little bitty tiny story. And he could draw with crayons. And then the next picture he did, he kept on bigger and better and telling stories and got good at it. Then he suddenly realized people kept laughing at him, but he thought because he was retarded. But it wasn't. He learned to be able to move and use his body and just use expression because he watches the hearing world. And that's where he copied a lot of his expression. And that little boy still grew up. When he made it to the 5th grade, he went into past the 3rd grade. The teacher asked everybody to draw a picture. When you grow up, what do you want to be? Well, that little boy drew a picture of a podium, of a little bitty bird, standing behind him. And the teacher said, what's this? Little boy looked up. Someday I'm going to be a performer. I will be on stage. And I will be educating people how to get along and quit picking at each other. Love one another. Because we're all different. Each and every one of us. And the teacher just laughed. Oh, you can't. Why not? Because you're retarded. You can't talk good. The most you'll ever do is put a broom in a McDonald's. All the kids. And I went, okay. You can ride the broom. She got mad, turned to the principal. And the principal wanted to be beaten, but the principal told the boy, I like you. I don't like the teacher. Now, oh man! And then the boy kept being called slow, retarded. But he kept growing. He passed high school with a D. I think they just did it to get rid of the boy. He went on to go to college. And during the college, he had open heart surgery in Columbus. He went where to live. 2 years later, that boy was silly and tried to climb a mountain without a rope. And he fell and broke his neck. He was paralyzed for several weeks, but he never gave up his dream to be a performer. He went on, and 2.5 years later, he got cancer. He was angry. He wanted to quit. But he started using wisdom, things that he'd learned growing up. And he got crayons again and started drawing a picture of that boy growing up. He still wanted to be a performer. He kept believing in himself. And many teachers and other people who believed in him pushed him to be a performer. After he got cancer, he had 6 months to live. They got it all. Then he went back to college to try to finish his master's degree. And during the time he was getting his master's degree in the last 2.5 years, he had 5 more surgeries. And the boy grew up. His dream came true because today, that boy got his master's degree this morning at 11 o'clock. But I know, because I am